Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tori, and today I am aiming to finish my Week in the Life 2024 album. I have most of my remaining stuff kind of separated out into these little envelopes. You can see I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Everything kind of separated into its own little envelope. I will link these in the description box below if you're interested in them. They're from Amazon, and I purchased them I think a couple of years ago for October Daily when I was separating things out by days for that project so that I didn't really get mixed up and confused with what I was working on. So I wasn't really finding anything that would really work for my days in Week in the Life, and then I remembered that I had these and kind of decided to give those a go, and so far they've been working quite well for getting me organized, and I'm going to kind of pull out each day and work through it in this manner for the rest of this project. Hopefully this will be the last process video for Week in the Life 2024, and the next video that you will see should be my kind of final flip through. There is a few things in the album that I will not have completed on camera or in a kind of process video format, just because I either A, wasn't sure what I was going to be putting in that spot, or like this one, so I did this off camera. I went through and I stamped out my meals and my moods for each day on this little card, but it took me forever. And I have no idea why, probably because I was watching a show while I was doing it, to be completely honest. But this is an example of something that I just did off camera. And there will be a couple more things in here that are blank that I will probably do off camera as well. But for the most part, all of the bones and everything of the project, I'm going to be finishing up today. So let's go ahead and just kind of jump right into it. So again, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this project, I do have all of my photos kind of pre-cut out. I didn't want to have to do that on camera again. I did that for Monday and Tuesday, but it's just kind of seemed to prolong the video, and the place where I record isn't as easy to cut photos out on. So I figured since I included it for the first couple of days, that the remaining days I could just kind of not. And I do have all of these, like I said, pre-cut out. The only things I don't have pre-cut out are going to be my daily journaling pages. And I did post a video, I don't even remember when, I think it was like a week or two ago, of how I did all of this journaling in the GoodNotes app on my iPad. I really like that for this project because I was able to kind of just jot down notes and then come back in and edit everything and then just print it out. So I haven't been adding a ton of like things to say per se throughout the project to my photos, just little quips here and there, because for the most part I am just placing all of the important, I guess, details of the day in my actual kind of GoodNotes journaling that I did. I will kind of pull out a couple of blank 3x4 cards after I finish getting this photo adhered down. And I'm going to just do the date cards for all 3 days all at once. Here I am running out of my tape, so you'll see me kind of just flip this upside down and then go grab a new piece of like tape refill so that I can actually adhere stuff down. When I sat down to record this, I had a feeling this was going to happen. I distinctly remember sitting down and searching for my tape. I think I had left it in the other room, so I went to go get it, and I was like, you know, I'm pretty sure this is almost gone. It feels like it's been a long time since I've refilled this. And wouldn't you know, the very first thing I go to tape, it ran out. So I am, just like I said, getting this adhered back to back, and I'll repunch my holes. And then I think I move on to the cards. I filmed this yesterday, so being that it's been almost 24 hours since I filmed it, I already forgot everything that I did. what else is new? But yes, so I'm going to go ahead and get this all kind of straightened up. Then I was going to start working on my morning, afternoon, and evening cards, but then I found this blank card, and I'm going to go ahead and get all of my date stamps done. And I'm doing this like super, super sped up just because I'm a little bit of a slow stamper sometimes. And at this point, I was stamping very slowly, but I'm just keeping it exactly the same as I have the last couple of days, where I'm just doing the super graphic looking date with just 04 for the month and then the day stamped right underneath that. And I will say that this kind of date stamp that I added to each of the days is probably like one of my most favorite things that I've done in this album. I really, really love the way that this looks, and I love having the specific date on each kind of day as well. So I'm going to put a couple of these for Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to set those aside so they can fully dry, because I think Saturday and Sunday I had stamped a little inkier than the one for Friday. And I'm going to move on to the kind of morning, afternoon, and evening section, where I am going to be using the rest of that kind of transparency and tape that on there. I didn't have a photo to place on the back of this day, or I believe Saturday, so I'm going to pull out some Heidi Swap Storyline Chapters paper that I have, just to look for something that would kind of match Friday, which is a green color, and I didn't really find anything in this little pad of papers that matched specifically, but I did really like this floral print that I'm going to flip back to. So I'm going to pull that out and just kind of paste that onto the back of the kind of 3x8 card. I don't know why, but I'm saying kind of a lot. So I just noticed that. Like, have you ever said a word and then like you just feel like you're saying it so many times that it's the only thing that you can hear when you say it? That's how I'm feeling right now. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get this taped down, and then we will jump into my album and start getting things kind of laid out. I'm going to follow the same format as I have been for my first few days of this project, where I'm just going to lay all of my photos out first, and then I will go back and start adding embellishments. One thing I do like about working in page protectors is that you don't necessarily have to add too many embellishments, because really the pockets, they kind of limit you in the space and the things that you are able to do. So I do really like that. But then there was a few times throughout getting these 3 days ready that I felt like I wasn't doing enough. But this album is kind of chunky. It gets really chunky at the end here. So I guess we'll see. So I'm going to just put on a little bit of music here while I'm kind of flipping through and organizing my photos, and I will hop back in when I have something else to say. So I've got most of my photos laid out in the spots that I think that I'm going to leave them. And now I'm going to go back in and really figure out what types of embellishments I'm going to add. There was a couple of times while I was working through this process video for all 3 days that I kept thinking I should go grab my word phrase stickers. And I never actually did. And now that I'm watching this back, I'm just thinking to myself, like, why didn't I go grab my word phrase stickers and pop some word phrases on these pictures? So I might have to, because like I said in the beginning, there is still a couple of pages, or not pages, but a couple of pockets that are kind of empty or don't have anything filled in that spot. I might have to go back and just peek through what I've got and see if there's anything that I can add. Because I was thinking about it the whole time, and I don't know why I didn't just get up and go grab my little kind of area of word phrase stickers that I have. So I am adding this green heart to this photo of one of my plants. I didn't want to cover the leaf like at all. The part that I did cover was kind of blown out. So what I did was kind of hang that heart just like completely off the photo, and I just angled it so that I felt like kind of nice. And then I also sliced my finger open on this day, on Friday. I had gotten a package in the mail and was very recklessly opening it with a pair of scissors, and instead of cutting the tape, I cut my finger. And the only band-aids that we have in our house right now are Band-Aids from the show Bluey, because my kids are obsessed with that show right now. And I just thought it was quite comical that I had to put a Bluey Band-Aid on my finger because it wouldn't stop, bleeding. And so I am just adding a little photo I took of this Band-Aid. And then I'm just kind of thinking about how I want to proceed. I had originally thought that I was going to just download the printable of the kind of plastic banners, but I never got around to it. I never did, and I just couldn't really convince myself to spend the money on it when I know I have all of these other plastic banners that I could be using, and then I could just ultimately get over the fact that they aren't the same for every day, and that I have the same 3 for the first 3 days of the week, and then everything else is just kind of like up in the air. I will ultimately get over that. So I figured I would just use the ones that I have and just move along. So I am jumping into Saturday now and just opening up my little kind of plastic folder to pull out all of my Saturday items. And I think Saturday is the day that I had the most photos from the weekend. This is a little kind of nightlight that we have, and I've put in different rooms of our house. It's like little stars, and it shines little stars on the wall, and I love it. We've had this nightlight for years. I think we got it from Target, and it's one that has been in each of the kids' bedrooms. It's been in my room. Like, we just love it, and I thought that it would be a great item to use as my Saturday photo to place behind this transparency. And it's kind of just like cream and like dark gray, black colors, so it doesn't really kind of fight with the bold blue color. I'm also pulling out this dotted, just patterned paper from that Heidi Swap paper pack, and I'm going to use that to cover the back of my 3x8 morning, afternoon, and evening card, and just kind of get everything ready to go. I don't have to do any more stamping, which is another thing that I'm a little bit regretting, and I might also go and add some changes into throughout, because I got the most awesome stamp from Heba from My Little Journal. Her website is Heba Alzabai Creates, and I have a time stamp. It's like a digital clock numbers, and I can make like little times, and I feel like it would be perfect for me to just go back through my photos and just kind of figure out what times I took some of these photos and just stamp that stamp onto sticker paper and add it to some of the photos that I didn't really have anything to say or add anything to. So I might still do that because I had that stamp sitting in my pile the whole time of all of the things that I was planning to use for this project. The problem is that I never grabbed any of my scrap sticker paper, and in my mind I was just like, I'm not getting up to get that, so I'm just not going to do it. But watching back the video, I do think it would be super fun. I'm going to have to look through and see if there's any photos that just don't have anything on them, which isn't a bad thing, right? Like, we probably need some blank photos, but I think it could also be super cool to have on some of those just a little like time for what time of the day that happened, especially if it's something that I didn't particularly mention in my journaling. I think I mentioned this in my last video, but these pockets that have the days of the week on them, these are from last year, and the pockets I am using for just documenting some of the things for my daughter while she was in Georgia, because she was up in Georgia during this week with my sister-in-law. So I took some videos of us and the video chats that we had, the video calls that we had, and also just some of the posts that my sister-in-law made. And I am just filling the pocket with those types of things. She also named specifically what she was calling the trip for my daughter. So I'm thinking I might even make myself like a little sticker that I can place on each day, like calling it the same adventure, and then like day 1, day 2, day 3. But that's definitely going to be coming at a later time, because that's going to take some thought and me having to kind of create a sticker to place on here. So that might not be happening before the final flip through, or even until I just get the motivation to do it, probably. Who knows? So I am trimming down my main photo here, and then I think that after I get all of my holes repunched, I think we will be jumping back into my album. For both Saturday and Sunday, I actually have like quotes, things that both of my kids, each of them said to me on one of those days. Well, I have one kid for one day and then the other kid for the other day. So I did manage to save those, so I will be filling in those little quote cards, and I'm very excited about that because I didn't do the best job trying to keep track of things that the children, or like conversations that were being had throughout the week that I thought would be good for just remembering. So these photos here are my son actually made me a cup of coffee, and the quote that I actually place at the back of this day for Saturday, I woke up quite late. I think I woke up at like 1 o'clock, and Oliver just let me sleep in. Luna wasn't here, so obviously like she wasn't in my bed or in my face super early Saturday morning. So Oliver had made himself like a little fort in the living room, which is that top photo right there, and just kind of let me sleep in. He didn't bother me. He went in the pantry, got his own snacks, whatever he was doing. And when I woke up, the first thing that he said to me was, "When you were asleep, Daddy woke up and did not even make you a coffee. I will make you some coffee, Mommy." And then went and made me a cup of coffee. And he was absolutely just so offended by the fact that my husband did not bring me a coffee that morning, because he usually does. One of the things that my husband does for me almost every single morning is wake me up with a cup of coffee, because I am not a morning person. And if he wants me to wake up and get out of bed, it's generally like, you need to wake me up with the caffeine. Otherwise, I'm just going to go back to sleep. And that's just kind of how it's always been for me. I don't know. Like I struggle to wake up. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. So because he doesn't usually make me coffee on Saturdays that he works, because he doesn't know what time I'll be waking up and doesn't want it to just be like sitting on the bedside table and getting cold. And I explained that to my son, but he was still so offended and just really wanted to make me a cup of coffee. So he made me a little cup of coffee, and I took a picture of him giving it to me. And I was blown away by the absolute sweetness of it, and just kind of also how offended he was. So I made that my little quote for the day. I also did my nails this day and specifically chose a colored nail polish that matched that bluey Band-Aid that I had on my finger. And like, that's silly. Like, it's almost nonsensical that like I would even figure that that's something that I should keep a memory of, but I just thought it was so funny, and I love the blue that I chose, and I love that it matched the Band-Aid that I was wearing around my finger, so like that's definitely kind of in here as well. So I'm going through and I'm starting to do my embellishing. I've pulled out a ton of these chipboard pieces that I kind of have from this kit and past kits from Week in the Life. And I'm going to go ahead and get some of these added to my pages. I used almost all of these vellum hearts. I think I only didn't use maybe 2 vellum hearts from the whole like kit that that I received. And I'm pretty proud of that, but I could not figure out what to do with these plus signs that like looked good to my eye. I'm not sure. So I don't think I used any of the plus signs or quote unquote and signs at all. But I did use quite a lot of those hearts, which I was pretty happy about. I'm going to add a little kind of caption to the nails photo that just says "Yay Nails." And I think when I do go back, I might add a little piece to the actual photo of my nail polish or my finished nails that says that they matched my bluey Band-Aid. I just thought it was so funny, so I'm loving it. And then I'm also actually going to use the part of it that says Saturday observations, and then just kind of place the Yay Nails portion right underneath that and kind of stack those on top of each other. Then I'm just going to grab my little quote card and write down that quote that I had for today or for Saturday, whenever I was kind of getting this ready. And I just took the quotes that I had listed on my iPad because, like I said earlier, I don't have a ton of working space for these projects when I am actually filming. So it would have been a little bit inconvenient for me to have my iPad just opened and kind of like in my way when I already had so much other stuff on the table. So what I did was, I think it was the night before I filmed this, which I think would have been Sunday. I'm not even sure. But I just copied the quotes that I wanted to add and just wrote them on a sticky note and added that sticky note onto the page protector above my quote card that I made. And then I am going to have that for both Saturday and Sunday because I had quotes for both days, and I actually pulled those same sticky notes so that I could have them in here with me while I'm actually doing my voiceover, and I can read you what I wrote on these quote cards. Since this album is kind of chunky and it is not super easy to kind of open and close to find like one quote to read, especially since I have a terrible memory, and when I'm editing and doing my voiceover, like I cannot see what I'm writing on these small screens. I did also continue to fill these vellum kind of Polaroid looking colored cards with just memes and stuff. I didn't save one each day. That's actually something that I ended up kind of going back, and when I was doing all of my final photo printing for these 3 days, I went back through the album and just looked to see what else I was missing, and I think I was only missing one. And I just kind of searched funny, like crafting memes on Instagram and just found a bunch of ones that made me laugh about like buying things and crafting and like projects and stuff like that. And then I just kind of coordinated them with each day with like the color of the meme itself. I tried to find the day that it would like look best with for the color. And then I'm going to use this Rise and Shine chipboard piece, and I'm actually going to place it on the page protector, but I'm going to place it over my photo a little bit so it's covering that power cord that I had hanging on my wall. And immediately I loved that photo even just a little bit more because the power cord was hidden. And then we are jumping into our final day, which was Sunday for this project, before we do a little flip through of these last 3 days. And there is a lot of food on Sundays. Sundays is a very food heavy day for my family. It's the only day of the week that we are all here almost every single week. I mean, there are obviously differences and things like that, but generally it's the day that we are all here and at home and able to spend time together as a family. My stepson is here. My husband doesn't work on Sundays. I don't work on Sundays. So it's usually the day that we just make fancy meals and we just do fancy things and just be together. So for this day, we actually made BLTs for lunch. And then my husband smoked a London broil, I think is what he said it was called, on his smoker. And I had a nice little veggie chopping spree in the kitchen. So I took quite a few photos of that. And I actually set my phone up above me to get a overhead shot of me cutting vegetables up at some point while I was doing that. And I love that photo so much. I always see photos of people cutting up strawberries and things like that. And while I was cutting up these vegetables, that's what I had in my mind. And I was I really want to try and get a photo like that because I love vegetables and tomatoes and squash and zucchini. I think that's all the stuff that I was cutting up. And it was just great. And then for my quote for this day, which I am filling in now, it says, "Mommy, I'm done talking to you. My throat is tired." And that was how Luna ended our video call that morning. And it was just so abrupt and out of nowhere. We were talking about games or something like that. And then just out of nowhere, that's what she said. And my husband and I were just cracking up. And I was like, oh, that's definitely going to be my quote for today. It was hilarious. So I have kind of a more artsy photo of all of the veggies that I cut up after I cut them up that I put behind the Sunday transparency. And then I just used, and it might have even been the same photo that I actually took while I was cutting stuff up. I'm not sure. But I had a more zoomed in close-up photo of all of the vegetables that I had cut up for the side with our dinner and also the stuff that I had cut up for the BLTs that we had. And I'm just going to use that photo as my back photo for this morning, afternoon, and evening card. And I just love the way it looks. I love tomatoes and I love squashes and zucchinis. And then there's avocado in here as well. And I was just very excited. Like I said, Sunday is a big food day for us. I don't know. Is anybody else like that? Do you have a specific day of the week that you just kind of go all out with food? If you're going to be going all out making meals and stuff like that, does it usually happen on one specific day of the week, or is it just kind of an always type thing? We try to stick to pretty easy meals throughout the week just because my husband and I both work full-time jobs. And then I'm also kind of making videos, editing them, and doing all that sort of stuff on top of my full-time job. So it's just easier to do quite simple meals throughout the week. And then on the weekend is when we really kind of delve into making fun meals and stuff. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any type of situation like that as well. I actually did this day a bit differently than I did Friday and Saturday, where I did start adding embellishments and stuff like that to my photo before I placed the photos in their pockets in my album. I don't know what drove me to do it that way. I'm not sure, but that's just how I did it. I have this photo of my husband doing dishes. The dishes are his chore because I absolutely despise doing the dishes. And then I just put a piece of that Sunday observations, like a little banner on there. And then I also have two really, really bad photos of myself. Like, these are not cute photos at all, but I do like them because it kind of shows what I was doing. I have an earlier morning photo of me filling in some of my timeline journaling, and I think that one was right after Luna like hung up on us with her little quote that I have up in the corner. So I was adding that to my iPad. And then I also have the photo that I'm going to have as the last photo in that page protector for like the end of my album that I think it's going to say late night journaling. And then I used my Posca paint pen to just write yum BLTs on my BLT photo. I also tried to take one of those laundry photos where people like stick their phone or their camera in their dryer and like take a photo of themselves, like getting the laundry. And it was an utter fail every single time I tried. And I even like pulled this photo into Procreate and wrote on it, like tried to take a cool laundry photo, but my phone just kept falling over and over again. And like, it's like my eyes are just like, my eyebrows are basically to my hairline almost because my phone had fallen again. So it caught me like halfway making just like a really just bad face. And every time I look at that photo and when I showed it to my husband, like we both like almost keeled over with laughter. And a lot of the things that I've been thinking about when putting in these like super unflattering photos, like of myself, mostly because I'm not really putting unflattering photos of anybody else in here, but like the things that I'm writing and the photos that I'm choosing of myself to actually keep in the project instead of being like, oh, I look bad, I'm not going to put that in here. I'm like, wow, this is going to make future me like crack up. Like if I feel like it's going to make me laugh or bring a smile to my face in the future when I'm looking back at this project next year, then I have decided that it's going in the album. If you're doing this project, I have so many of these day of the week cards that have like the high and the low with the day of the week initial on it, and I cannot figure out what to do with these cards. I'm tempted to just pull them all out and replace them with just patterned paper just to fill up that space, and maybe on those patterned papers I'll put some like word phrase stickers, but I don't know what to do with them. I feel like I have enough journaling, and then I'm adding the things to my photos to kind of go over anything else, and I don't think I have too much else to talk about. So are you using those for anything specific? Let me know down in the comments, and maybe you can give me an idea of what I can do with it, or maybe I might just pull it out and just place some patterned paper or old cards or something that I have not yet used. Maybe I'll just do that. I don't know. I just haven't used any of them yet, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I am just getting some of these photos added back in here to kind of finish out the day. Like I said, I did most of my embellishing before I started placing the photos and cards and stuff in here, but I will kind of do a little flip back through the 3 days that we are working on and just see if there's anything else that I can add anywhere really in these 3 days that I can just use up some more of the supplies that I have. That's ultimately what I am kind of trying to do now, because I still have like a little bin that's next to me that has all of these week in the life supplies, and I wanted to try and get as much of them used up as I could. So I am going to, like I said, just kind of start flipping back through and see if there's anything that I haven't used that I can also use to kind of get some of these supplies used up. So I will kind of, like I said earlier, just pop a little bit of music back on while I do some final embellishing, and then I will let you know when we are done. And that is it. For the purpose of my process videos, we are done with my week in the life 2024. Thank you so much for joining me through this process. Honestly, you all have kept me so motivated to actually finish this project because I knew I was going to be recording and sharing with my friends here on YouTube. And just in general, that kind of helps me stay motivated to actually complete something and not toss it to the side and forget about it for the rest of my life. So thank you so much for all of your support and motivation to help me finish this project. If you made it to the end of this video, I would love to know what your favorite day of the week is in the comments below. My favorite day of the week is Sunday because it is our family day and the day that we all get to spend together. And we always have delicious foods on Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!